I was not one to believe in things such as ghosts. However, I was still an individual that was easily scared. My friends Mike and Chris would constantly take it upon themselves to scare me, schemes such as jumping me from behind or telling me some scary story. These pointless acts did scare me, but at the end of the day, they were pranks. Amongst the stories and pranks they pulled, nothing stuck with me more than what I saw on the 3rd floor. Through my high school years, I went to a really old-fashioned school. The school at the time had 2 complexes on the campus. The one on the right side was a newer building, which was where most of my classes were held. On the other side was the original 3-floor complex, which was there from around the 1930s. We only had 2 classes there, as the school's shitty budget couldn't have all the students piled in one area. They used the downstairs of the old building for 2 classes, and the school office on the 2nd floor. Since they had no use for the 3rd floor, they blocked it off from the student entry. The 3rd floor used to be upstairs dorm rooms, as the school back in its day was a boarding house for girls. As you would expect, students concocted rumors about what could be up there. Some of these claims were ridiculous, like the school hiding rotting corpses in the floorboards. Honestly, I just ignored most of these claims. Naturally, Chris and Mike were always curious as to what was up in there and constantly urged me to go up with them. I, of course, constantly turned them down. Not out of fear, but out of concern for being suspended. However, through peer pressure, I finally decided to go. That was the last mistake I would ever make. It was around December that my school would always hold an annual Christmas party. These parties went on quite late, with most of the teachers drinking themselves to the point of being totally oblivious. Of course, my friends took this as a perfect opportunity to sneak up to the 3rd floor of the school. Mike then once again asked me if I wanted to come. At first I said no, like I had time and time again. "Come on," Mike kept insisting. I sighed. Perhaps it could be a bit interesting. Plus the building was empty, which meant we wouldn't be caught. "Fine," I finally said. As I did, Mike's face lit up as he shouted, "Yes!" while patting me on the back. I felt a bit happy, knowing my friends really wanted me along with them. Mike went to get Chris, who'd basically go anywhere Mike went. I followed them over the campus, and I was nervous as anyone could be. No, nervous would be a small way to put it. Petrified would be the better term. I kept thinking, why am I doing this? Am I crazy? As I slowly moved next to Chris, he kept on telling me to calm down, but it was never that easy to me. I kept glancing over as we ran over to the old complex, afraid that we might be caught. To be honest, part of me wanted us to get caught. Looking back now, I wish we had. Mike led us into the main hall of the school. The lights were turned off, no shock there. Mike fumbled until he found the light switch. As the lights went on, I could see an expression of excitement on his face. I wish I had the same feeling. Chris and I followed behind Mike to the 3rd floor staircase. I glanced up and saw the regular "Do Not Enter" sign that was stuck onto the rotting wood. I shrugged this off the best I could. Lucky for us, the wood wasn't high at all, an example of the school's cheap security. Mike slowly climbed over the wood, motioning for us to follow. At this point, my mind was screaming for me to run. So it was either stay or ditch your 2 friends. I sighed and slowly followed Chris as he climbed over the wood. I stepped onto the staircase. The creaking from it unnerved me a bit, wondering if this floor was stable. Still, it was a minor concern. I followed Chris to the top as Mike was already looking around. I reached the last step and glanced around the top floor. It was surprisingly very well preserved despite the dust and fading paint on the walls. It had a very damp smell, which reminded me of dirty laundry. Mike started to dart around the floor, eagerly looking for something interesting. Chris followed him like a puppy, typical behavior for him. I slowly followed them into one of the dorm rooms. It was very dusty, with nothing but a worn-out bed in the center. I kept looking behind my back, half expecting someone to be there. Nothing. The shadows must be getting to me, I thought. We took a look in the other rooms, finding the same thing. One bed in each room. Nothing that special. I could see Mike was getting annoyed. Poor guy, I thought. I laughed in my head at myself about being afraid of this place. Turns out it was nothing but a dump. No ghosts or corpses, just an old floor. Mike gave up looking and began to make his own way downstairs with Chris. I followed behind them slowly, still looking over my back. I will admit I was still a little bit nervous. I mean, the place was still eerie. As I reached the staircase, I heard a voice from below. I stepped back as I recognized the voice. It was the school janitor. He'd caught Mike and Chris climbing over the wood. I began to panic, not wanting to get caught, and I darted into one of the rooms. I quickly hid in the corner of one of the rooms, waiting for Chris and Mike to be escorted out. Some friend I am, I thought, feeling guilty. I slumped onto the floor and waited. It was quiet. The wood didn't even creak. The only light was the moonlight through the window. The silence began to bother me. I kept thinking that someone was waiting for me to get up. After at least 3 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I jolted up and went into the hallway on the floor. As I moved for the staircase, I saw something catch my eye. I froze in place, not wanting to turn around. I felt a cold feeling that I wasn't alone up here, that someone was behind me. I kept telling myself to run, but I couldn't help but look. I regret everything that I did at that moment. I turned around to find what appeared to be a girl at the end of the hall. She was spaced and had not noticed me. My mind was racing, trying to find out who this girl was and why she was up here. I began to step back, telling myself to run. Then I heard the floor creak beneath me. It made me jump at the same time, making the girl face me. I froze in place as she looked at me. The girl looked at me so wide-eyed, as if her eyes were going to pop. Her eyes were a black color. Her face looked dirty and slightly rotted, and she wore a worn-out dress. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. For that moment, I never took my eyes off of her. I kept waiting for her to do something, but she stood still. She just stared at me for what felt like forever. I needed to get out of here. I kept repeating to myself to run, 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 run. I finally began to step backward, and as I did, the girl jerked and began to scream. My blood ran cold as I forced myself to run to the wooden barrier. To my horror, I could hear the scream getting louder. She was coming for me! I panicked, fumbling over the wood. I fell over the other side, ignoring the pain. I made a dash for the main hall. I didn't dare turn around. I finally made it outside. Taking a second to catch my breath, I found Chris and Mike waiting for me. Mike asked me where I was in a rage, but I barely heard him. I was in shock. My heart was racing to the point where I collapsed onto the ground. Mike and Chris asked me worriedly what the hell happened, but I could never answer. After that night, I could never look up at my old school complex the same way. I always knew that girl was up there. You would have expected me to tell someone, but I never did. No one would believe me anyway. I still couldn't believe it myself. It's been 3 years, and I've finally graduated from school. Life is good. I've had no reason since the night to feel afraid of anything. That was until graduation day. After my graduation, I was leaving in my car parked near the old building. Not thinking about it, I looked up at the 3rd floor window. I then stopped. Staring back at me through the dusty glass was a pair of wide, dark eyes.
As the dead of winter approaches, you may find yourself alone at night, feeling isolated and abandoned in an all too empty bed as the night grows even bleaker. Ghastly shadows dancing across the room, the crying wind battering against your window, an ambulance siren in the distance, and there's no one there to convince you that you didn't hear those gunshots. There's no one there. No one there. But do not be afraid. He waits for you. Wait for the moon to hide itself, perhaps behind a gathering of clouds. Midnight is the best time to do this. Just close your eyes and hold your breath as you leave your bed. You may open your eyes once you exit your bedroom. Get dressed if you like, because you'll be leaving your house soon. Take nothing with you, except for what you can keep in your pockets. Then, drive out of town. Drive as far away from civilization as you possibly can. Eventually, the air will become still. Then a dense fog will form just a short way down the road. You will hear nothing but silence as you approach it. Let it consume you and your vehicle. No harm will come to you from it, I promise. Do not be afraid. He waits for you. The fog will lift. You will see a dimly lit motel, stranded and alone in the night, just like you. As you walk inside, notice that there is no one else there. The only sign of human inhabitants will be a small key on the front desk. Take these keys. Wander the corridors until you find the proper room. You will soon know exactly where it is, but you won't know why. Use your key to enter this room. Walk in and lie down in the bed. It's no more comforting than your bed at home. There's nothing but pure silence for miles. Death hangs in the air all around you, and it's so cold. You're still alone and frightened, but it's okay. He's frightened too, and it's just so cold. Cold enough to hold the pillow close to your body, burying your face in its softness and embracing it. Pretend that it's a lover all you want. You won't feel any safer, but you will feel warmer. Open your arms, lift up your head. The warmth is his arms. Two twisted, mutilated arms tracing down your body. There he is, and he's frightened too. You can see it in his blackened, spherical eyes, fixating upon your face and twinkling with the light of another dimension. The light shines in specks from beneath his parched skin, making him glow from the inside. Bruises covering his decaying neck, as well as deep, finger-wide indents. It's as if someone had tried to strangle him. He sighs and softly caresses your face. The skin of his hands begins to flick off onto you, and you want to sweep it away. But you're stunned, completely stunned by the strange creature that's completely enamored by you. At least, you're not alone anymore. You'll then gather enough will to take your hands and gently lift him off you, placing him to your side. You get a better look at him. His legs are disturbingly crooked, having been broken in so many places, and healed in ways that just weren't meant to be. And he won't stop staring at you. Small, glistening tears drip from his eyes. He shivers and trembles, trying to form words with his torn mouth. You can't tell exactly what he's trying to tell you. It doesn't matter for now, anyway. He will want to touch you, to hold and comfort you. Whatever pain you have ever felt from loneliness, whatever sorrow you may have felt in your entire life, he feels it. His tears fall onto you, and he lies back in submission. He will let you do anything you want to him. He knows that no matter what you do, it will never hurt him as much as what the others have done. It will never hurt him as much as the isolation he's felt in this motel. As you gaze upon his twinkling eyes, you may gain a sudden urge to mutilate him and punish him for existing the way he does. But please, be kind. He loves you, after all. Spend the night with him. He'll let you do anything, and he won't be able to speak. But be sure to leave the room before sunrise. He will do everything in his power to keep you from leaving. He will grab onto you, cry, and scream at you. Tears will keep gushing from his glowing eyes, disintegrating his skin even further. But no matter how much you pity him, leave. Resist him and leave. If you don't, you will be forever trapped and doomed to live the same existence that he does. Do not let him follow you. Just close the door behind you and lock it. You're alone again. Next thing you know, you'll wake up in your bed at home, sometime after the sun has risen. The events of last night will feel as if they were nothing but a dream. Everything in your home is where you left it last. Your car, your clothes, everything. Then, if you're lucky, something incredible will happen. Within a few days, you just might meet a new person. This person has everything you want, and it's as if they were made for you. Within time, the two of you will fall in love. You will almost forget the ghoul in the motel and forget about those glowing eyes staring at you. All that will matter is that you will be in love with this wonderful new person, and they will love you. But once they move in with you, things will grow progressively stranger. As you lie together in bed, you might hear a faint scratching on the door and an all too familiar cry. But do not worry, your companion will keep you from becoming too worried about it. The next night, the cry might become a shriek. The scratching will become a pounding, and only you can hear it. No matter how hard you try to convince your partner of what you hear, they will only tell you to go back to sleep. And one night, you will notice that the noises have vanished. Nights will be peaceful again, and it will just be you and your partner. But from then on, you will constantly look upon your lover's eyes. You will notice a new glow in their eyes, twinkling with the light of another dimension. Do not be afraid. He has waited so long for you. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this collaboration with Eden. We also did a video together for their channel. I will leave a link in the description below so you can check it out. You should also check out their own videos, they make some great content. I will leave a link to their channel in the description below so you can go check it out. I've also done collaboration videos with Scary Stuff, Scary Stuff, Scary Stuff Ding and Alan's Terrifying Show for their channels. I will leave a link in the description below so you can go check them out. Remember, all collaboration videos that I do can be found in the playlist Collaborations, so make sure you check that out as well. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You can also leave a comment below. All feedback, good or otherwise, is always appreciated. If you have any creepy stories of your own, or have any topics that you would like me to cover, feel free to send them in via any of my social media. You can find all links to my social media in the description below. So until next time guys, make sure you lock your doors, stay safe, and I'll see you next video.